'Tis the season for a new year, so we're doing it again. Yes, I have now returned to tell you a lot more of my stuff. Well, it's 2024, and you know what that means. Yes, we're doing it again. We're talking about my EU. I mean, to be honest, I'm always having a bit of a passion making these AUs, despite the fact that it's basically retconning every single AU that has already been established. See the railway series or TV series. But since this is my own thing, yeah, I don't really care. I mean, it's okay. You don't have to like an AU. You can actually like mines or not. It's just life. So, enough said. Let's just get into the AU lore ramblings, shall we? Number 1. A boat train is a passenger train that runs from the big city to the port, where it will drop off its passengers and climb aboard either a ferry or a boat bound for a certain destination. Some of these boat trains include the Golden Arrow, the Night Ferry, the Cunard, etc. The island of Sodor is no exception to this, as they have boat trains on their own, starting at Tidmouth towards Kirkronan, Brandon, and sometimes Allsborough and Hardwick. These boat trains would run for over 125 years, beginning in 1873 and finally ending in 1998. Number 2. The Isle of Man, a crown dependency, is located right next to the island of Sodor. The official map of Sodor says so, because it's right next to the island. So, between 1970 and 1984, British Rail operated SeaLink, which would connect up from the mainland towards destinations like France, Belgium, and the Isle of Man. The island of Sodor would join on this venture, operating between Douglas and Allsborough beginning in 1973 and ending in 1984. There was even a train to connect up from the boat at Allsborough known as the Douglas Special, which runs from Hardwick to Allsborough. This train has since been discontinued. The Allsborough to Douglas service is now being taken over by the steam pack service of the Isle of Man, which is still running today. Number 3. The Jubilee Bridge was a bridge that connected from the mainland to the island of Sodor. The bridge was opened in 1908. However, before that, there used to be a car shuttle service between Vickerstown and Bowron-Furness. The service commenced in 1904. Even after the bridge was built, the car shuttle service remained until 1977. The Jubilee Bridge is still run today. Number 4. The Intercity 225s is a fleet of HST passenger trains, which were built between 1988 and 1991. A few were used on the island of Sodor, mainly on the Peel Godred branch between Kildane and Peel Godred. On the electrified services between Kildane and Peel Godred, it is run by the Class 91s in driving van trailers or a Class 90 for locomotive hauled stock. For the non-electrified services, it is done by a Class 47 and a Class 67 with the BR Mark IIIs and that set driving van trailer. These non-electrified services would run between Natford and Peel Godred. The Class 91s, along with the Intercity 225s with the driving van trailers and locomotive hauled stock, is still running the Peel Godred services today. Number 5. It's been well known that in 1899, the Baldwin Locomotive Works had built some 260s for the Great Northern, Great Central, and Midland Railways. These Baldwin-built 260s will only last until 1915, when they were all scrapped. The Sodor Mainland Railway, however, had bought a few from their own workshops at Crovan's Gate. They were soon put into operations. When the First World War happened, over 700 of these 1899 designs were built by the Crovan's Gate Works and were sent to Malaysia, Egypt, Israel, Greece, Turkey, and finally Australia and Argentina. These exported models were sent to their respected countries with their respected rules and regulations on the railways. For example, in Australia, during their later lives, their buffer and chains were removed and replaced with knuckle couplers. The Sodor mainland variants were withdrawn between 1925 and 1948, while the export models would last until at least the late 50s to the early 70s, but the last of them being withdrawn was in Argentina in 1971. Although the Sodor mainland variants were scrapped, a few of the export models had survived into preservation, with the most of them being Malaysia. You can still see those survivors today. Number 6. So you all know that Thomas and the Magic Road isn't canon. That is correct, because it isn't canon. So, if you remove every single element from Magic Railroad except for the island of Sodor and Muffle Mountain, and place Muffle Mountain on a fictional island that is right next to the island of Sodor, then you'll get the Isle of Muffle Mountain. The line would start at Takanawa Junction before heading up to a small trestle bridge and later arriving at Islington Railway Station. It would then go through the plains until reaching Shining Time Junction before finally arriving at Indian Valley Station. There is a small branch train that goes from Shining Time then towards Havenbrook before finally arriving at Okeechobee. The line's run by a pair of Terriers in Chatham P classes and the LSWR Beetle tanks. Modern day, it is run by the Class 153 and Class 139s, which replaced the Class 144 Pacer units on the line bound for Okeechobee. The Isle of Muffle Mountains Railways is still in operation as of today. Number 7. Europhoenix is a spot hire railroad company originated in the UK that was founded in 2008. They are well known for having Class 37s on their roster, and 2 of them even ended up on the island of Sodor. In early to mid 2022, 2 Class 37s and 1 Class 91 were sent to the island of Sodor to congest traffic on the Peel Godred branches. They were both stationed at Kildane and Peel Godred. They calmed the congestion on the Peel Godred branches and were soon sent back to their original owners. They still operate with Europhoenix as of today. Number 8. The island of Sodor is well known for operating goods trains in and out of the island and into the mainland and beyond. The fuel tankers are one of these types of wagons that are usually operated on the island. In the 1920s, the DDX tanker wagons were built by the American Car Foundry. Based on American tankers, these DDX tankers would live on until being replaced by the TTA tankers made by British Rail in the 1960s. These TTA tankers, along with their TEA tankers, would live on the island even through the new millennium. These 2 types of tankers are still around today. Even if they're not operating on the main line anymore, the DDX tankers are still with us on heritage railways or rebuilt into TTA tankers or heavily modified TEA tankers. Number 9. Steam generators are a rare thing on the island, as most steam locomotives have a pipe which connects it into the coach to a heating generator that heats the coaches. However, on some occasions, mainly on rail tours, steam generators can be used to heat the coaches. On rail tours, the generator vent would be fitted with ETH, or electric train heating, which would be used to heat the coaches with ETH on them. Sure, during the early 60s, most diesel locomotives had a steam heating boiler, but in their later lives, they were replaced with ETH. There are experiments with steam locomotives and early diesels fitted with a steam generator. However, those are unsuccessful as ETH began to replace them. However, there are still some generator brands that are still with us today, albeit rarely on rail tours. And finally, number 10. So remember that one movie that everybody in the Thomas fandom hates, known as Misty Island Rescue? Yeah, Misty Island Rescue and the whole concept of Misty Island was a mistake. So I decided to fix it. Well, in my AU at least. The Isle of Juson is an island that is located right next to the Little Florida, a sub-region that is well known for hosting the Brandon Branch Line. The line was opened in 1872, with number 1 and number 2 operating on the line. As more and more lines began to be built, more locomotives arrived at the island to operate on this railway. At its peak, the Isle of Juson Railways had over 60,000 passengers climb on board the trains to their destinations, mainly on the suburban lines out of Port Satoshi. The Dresden State Railways would thrive on through the 30s and 40s, replacing some of their old steam locomotives and replacing them with new ones until the dieselization era in the 1950s and 1960s, with the Dresden State Railways going into full diesel by 1966. Today, Dresden Rail, the now operator of the Isle of Dresden's railways, would operate freight and passenger trains, along with tourist trains operating on their main lines run by a fleet of preserved steam locomotives, thus making this little island more magical. Well, I guess this is done anyway. So yeah, my 4th year Loire Blinks is done. Took me long enough. It's been like 8 days or something, I don't know. Anyways, the 5th one will be coming out on March, but it has to be due before spring break because during that time, I'll be doing my own birthday special and somewhat, I don't know. Now, the reason why I didn't have my outro music was because, Japan is suffering from an earthquake and a plane crash, all within just a new year. Oh boy. Japan never really catches a break. So yeah, rest in peace in those who died during the earthquake or the recent plane crash in Japan. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.